part 2 of the defensive calibers. Now let's talk about longer guns. And while these are the intermediate and full power cartridges, should not forget that 9mm is often used in bigger guns as well. And it creates quite a bit of an option for people. My Scorpion and AR9s and Uzi and so forth are a perfect example. XTAR EP9 and so forth and so forth. So 9mm, even though it's a pistol caliber, can also be used in longer guns. The same, by the way, happens for 45 and 10mm, but again, I don't have guns in that caliber, no experience. 57 Magnum can be used in lever guns to quite a good level of use. Don't own one. I want to, but don't. So today, let's talk about the basic intermediate calibers first. And honestly, there are more. In particular, there are 2 more that I don't have on the table, at least right now, because I simply don't have anything to show. I'm out. 6.5 Grendel and 300 ASC, or 300 Blackout. I do not own a gun in 300 Blackout at all, by the way, which is 7.62x35, or a Russian one is 7.62x39. And 6.5 Grendel, I'm simply out and I don't want to open a new case just for the video. I do consider 6.5 Grendel, if it was available and more types of rounds were available, as a best alternative to all of these. Capacity, power, distance, all better than any of these 3 in my mind. But it's not available, hence cannot consider that. It's as if I would say 50 BMG is the best defensive rounds. It is, if you can use it, if you can afford it, and definitely not inside the house, because you won't have a house, or the windows at least. So 5.56, 5.45, 7.62x39. Obviously 5.56 sometimes crisscrosses with the 223. Here's an example. Hornady Frontier, 68 grain, or Hornady Black, 75 grain hollow point, ballistic tail, boat tail hollow point, which is, by the way, one of the rounds I actually use in my short ARs. This one. 62 is for the longer ones. 5.56, excellent round. US have been using this since Vietnam War. That came into replacement for a 7.62x51 M14s, and it came in the M16, which, by the way, is not an AR-15. The AR-15 has never been a military weapon, regardless what a crazy, stupid politician might say. But then, let's not talk about politicians, because they look brown and they smell brown. All of them, regardless. 5.56, great ammo. If you can find Black Hills, these are some of the better, even though expensive as heck, but these are some of the better rounds you can find. These are Black Hill 62 grain 5.56s, non-remanufactured, new ammunition, Barnes TSX bullets. Excellent ammo for self-defense, factory new. Remanufactured is blue box, just for those that want to know. Next side, price. This is today's price in a store. I'm sure it is possible to find them cheaper online, but I haven't seen them online at all. So 50 rounds for $80, you can calculate the price. Definitely more than $1 a round, but if your life depends on it, you have basically almost 2 mags worth of saving grace in this single box. 5.56 unfortunately depends on speed to operate correctly. To tumble or to open up. So in many cases you have to make sure that the ammo you choose will work in the gun that you plan to use it in. I have a huge variety of ammo because I try to find things that work, and I have different types of guns. I have basic American Eagle I have PPUs, arm scores. I don't even know who I don't have. From 5.56 to 223. So this is, for example, a 5.56 NATO 75 grain hollow points. Another one of my defensive rounds. X-Tax by PMC. I have probably a couple of thousand of these. These are my tertiary or secondary defense rounds. They are not that good from short barrels. Again, they depend on speed. Short barrel is not going to give you that speed at any long distance, any distance that is required today. The advantage of using an intermediate cartridge is ability to apply force at a distance beyond a pistol caliber. Not because the pistol caliber cartridge is unable to reach there, it's just the pistol itself is usually not able to be used effectively at a longer range. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. If not, look it up. How easy it is to shoot a pistol at 100 yards, and how easy is it to use even a short AR pistol at the same 100 yards. And what is the result you're going to get. 5.45 is an alternative. Very few guns are available in this caliber, but some are. And if you already have them, you have access to some limited choice of 5.45, which is basically K74 ammunition. Red Army Standard is an example. But again, most of this was imported from Russia, against which we have sanctions right now. For reasons I'm not going to mention, everybody should know. That whole conflict is stupid and should not have happened, but again, that's a whole different conversation. You have it. I hope you have a stockpile of ammo. Or if you can afford it, buy more today. Has literally the same abilities as a 5.56, 62 grain. Has the same soft steel part of the bullet with an empty space in front of it. It is not a penetrator. It's not armor piercing. It's penetrating flasher. It's not going to work very well against the armor. None of these will. Only the very fast ones with a very hard core. So these have soft core, soft steel core in the bullet. But has very good ballistics, very low recoil, and lightweight in comparison to 7.62 by 39, which is the last of the intermediate cartridges that we are going to discuss today. And by the way, I did not show you one, did I? So this is 5.45. In comparison, this is a 5.56. And so that you can see them better. Wouldn't be surprising if some people that are not paying enough attention will not be able to find much of a difference, wouldn't it? Well, just look at the length of the case. 39.45. So that's one way to keep yourself straight from that perspective. Shorter case, only 5.45. And of course, Russian ammo is packed very differently, and sometimes this falls apart. So far I have been lucky that it has not. I do have a stockpile of 5.45. I've been buying them for decades before they got stopped from import by the ATF that is breaking every kind of possible law, regulation, and common sense. Next one is the last, which is 7.62 by 39, and this is a hollow point. This is a heavier bullet, 100 and usually 23 grain hollow point. 122, 123, 124 is the usual bullet weight for 7.62 by 39. Caliber that used to be used in Russian AK, AK-47, and AKM, and is honestly the most commonly used AK caliber, because very few countries switch to AK-74. Requires newer production. They just usually went their own way. This thing is much more usable in a short barrel than 545 or 556, regular 556. And I am considering building myself a 7.62x39 AR pistol, possibly, or getting another AK pistol that would be something like Palmetto State 104 series, with the chrome-lined, hammer-forged, cold hammer-forged barrel, if I can afford it. This thing is good up to 200 yards. Short barrel ARs, 545 or 556, are not going to be very good for short distance. I meant to say long distance. So it makes sense, I wonder what that was, it makes sense to have this caliber while it is still available if you want to have a hard-hitting gun that still has a short barrel, 10-inch or so, but is capable of producing a usable amount of energy at shorter distances without losing a lot of potential. Again, heavier bullet, a lot heavier bullet than the micro or micro intermediate cartridges. 6.5 Grendel solves that issue for all of them in my mind. Heavy bullet, about the same weight, but goes faster. In fact, it's a replacement for 308 in most cases, which I don't consider a self-defense cartridge unless you live on a farm. That's why I'm not going to mention it at all in this video. For some people it might make sense, but for me it does not. 300 Blackout is in many ways an alternative to 7.62x39, and especially useful if you have a suppressor on that short barrel gun. And it does work well from a short barrel gun, but very expensive ammo even now. This is not cheap, but in comparison it is cheaper than a lot of other guns or ammunition for them. Though right now it is getting to the point where it is cheaper to buy 5.56 than 7.62x39, and the quality of those 5.56 rounds are considerably higher than these. So you just need to remember you have to have a longer barrel in 5.56 or 5.45 to achieve the ballistic speed, or speed that is required for proper ballistics. So that is all I wanted to mention about the calibers. Thank you for watching. A lot of this is based on just me learning things. I'm not an expert in any way. I did not serve anywhere. I didn't do anything crazy in my life, well, at least from a gun perspective. But I just want to share what I think and what might be useful to you. And again, we all want to be practical, and to be practical we have to practice. And if something gets prohibited or sanctioned or prohibitively expensive, that becomes impractical. And that is why I don't consider 300 Blackout practical unless you reload and you had the supply before the price increase. That's why I don't consider 308 practical unless you reload or have a stockpile. And the same applies to 545. It's sanctioned. It's very hard to find unless you have a stockpile already. Thank you for watching. Until the next video.